Most people think they know Tongass, a giant forest that humans nearly destroyed. Yet against all odds, it still stands as the largest in the United States. But its story is more than size. Buried within are docks sinking into the tides, fishing villages abandoned on its shores, and trails carved by vanished hands that now disappear into the trees. Gold rush settlements sit deserted, left behind when the promise of fortune collapsed. Through it all, wildlife still moves across the rivers and trees, while human history is reduced to ruins. This is not survival. It is the story of a forest that took everything back, a place that belongs more to nature than to us. Stay with me as we uncover the Tongass National Forest's hidden wonders, unique species and rare discoveries. You'll wonder why no one ever told you about them before. The Tongass National Forest is often called America's Salmon Forest. This is because of the salmon run, a cycle that connects the ocean, the rivers, and the forest. Five distinct salmon species navigate this temperate rainforest ecosystem. Chinook, coho, sockeye, pink, and chum. Each fish carries the chemical memory of its natal stream, imprinted during youth and followed home with extraordinary precision years later. The spawning transformation turns salmon into living zombies. Males develop hooked jaws and razor teeth for territorial battles. Females excavate gravel nests with their powerful tails, depositing thousands of eggs before death claims both parents within weeks. This annual bounty feeds over 50 predator species throughout Tongass. For example, brown bears consume up to 90 pounds of salmon daily, building crucial fat reserves for winter hibernation. When salmon are abundant, bears become selective, eating primarily the brain, eggs and skin, the fattiest portions. Their fishing techniques demonstrate remarkable intelligence. Dominant males position themselves at prime waterfall spots, while subordinate bears develop alternative strategies. Some become underwater divers, others specialise in night fishing. Mother bears with cubs demonstrate teaching behaviour, showing cubs how to catch salmon while protecting them from dominant males. Cubs learn by observation and practice, gradually developing their own fishing skills. Each summer, coastal brown bears gorge themselves on protein-rich fish, growing 1/3 larger than their inland cousins across Europe and North America. While an inland grizzly might weigh 400 pounds, an Alaskan coastal bear can tip the scales at nearly 4 times that weight. The largest brown bear ever recorded was shot near Cold Bay in 1948, weighing an estimated 1,700 pounds at summer's peak. The transformation from spring to fall is extraordinary. Bears emerge from hibernation weighing 30% less than their autumn peak, then systematically rebuild their mass through a process called hyperphagia. During this feeding frenzy, they consume 20,000 calories daily, equivalent to 80 hamburgers. Glaucous-winged gulls are frequently seen together with brown bears during salmon runs because they've developed an opportunistic feeding strategy that depends heavily on bear behaviour. These birds demonstrate extraordinary behavioural complexity that rivals any apex predator. They spend hours following salmon streams during spawning season, showing patience and precision as they hover low over the water, waiting for the exact moment to strike. With eyesight sharp enough to detect fish, even in cloudy conditions, they dive swiftly when prey becomes vulnerable. During feeding, their social interactions follow strict rules. Dominant adults claim prime fish patches, guarding them fiercely, while younger or weaker gulls are pushed to the edges. Energy conservation is another hallmark of their feeding strategy. Instead of constant movement, they make precise choices about which fish to chase or scavenge. Sustained stamina becomes essential during periods of harsh weather, even when salmon runs are at their peak. Bald eagles are also opportunistic feeders, eating other birds, small mammals and carrion when fish are less available. Tongass National Forest holds the highest density of nesting bald eagles in the world. These birds choose large, old-growth trees, often several hundred years old and over 100 feet tall, to build enormous nests. Eagles fiercely defend nesting territories, especially during breeding season. Disturbances near nest sites, such as logging or human activity, can cause eagles to abandon nests or fail to reproduce. For this reason, regulations protect buffers of mostly undisturbed forest around nest and feeding areas to support healthy populations. In these forests, bald eagles turn icebergs and rocky outcrops along rivers and coastal inlets into strategic hunting perches. Mendenhall Glacier stretches roughly 13 miles, flowing steadily from an extensive ice field toward a lake that shares its name. It earned its name from John Mendenhall, a geologist who surveyed the region in the late 19th century. Over time, the glacier has retreated, exposing land once swallowed by ice. This glacier is known for its constantly changing face. Ice cracks, melts and calves, sending large chunks into the lake below. Despite its beauty, Mendenhall Glacier has a mysterious side. Locals tell of unexplained lights seen within the ice caves, blue glows that flicker with no clear source. Some hikers report hearing strange echoes or distant voices near crevasses, but no one can explain their origin. Among unusual facts, the glacier occasionally forms ice caves large enough for exploration, but they shift and collapse unpredictably, making them extremely dangerous. These caves appear as shimmering blue chambers carved by meltwater flowing beneath the ice. Their walls sometimes reveal layers of trapped air bubbles and sediment, offering clues to environmental changes over centuries. The glacier's slow movement causes constant reshaping of these caves. What is open one day might be sealed or fallen in the next. This instability means only experienced guides can safely navigate them, and even then, the risk of sudden collapse or falling ice remains. The mountain streams and rugged cliffs that support dragonflies also serve as home to another remarkable species, mountain goats. These goats have evolved specialised hooves with rough pads that provide traction on sheer, slippery surfaces. This physical adaptation allows them to access high cliffs and narrow ledges where few predators can follow. Primarily found in alpine regions, they spend much of their time at elevations above 5,000 feet, moving seasonally to lower areas during harsh winters when food is scarce. Their behaviour centres on grazing sparse alpine vegetation, including grasses, mosses and lichens. Despite their name, they are not true goats but share similar foraging strategies. Mating season occurs in late fall, with males engaging in head-butting contests to establish dominance. Females give birth to usually one kid in spring, raising them in secluded cliffside areas to protect from predators like wolves and eagles. Arctic terns utilise the coastal waters and islands surrounding Tongass National Forest as crucial stopover points during their epic migrations and as breeding territories. The temperate rainforest coastline provides abundant small fish populations in protected bays and inlets where terns can efficiently forage during the brief Alaskan summer. These birds establish colonies on rocky offshore islands and coastal meadows within the forest's marine boundaries. The Tongass region offers Arctic terns access to herring, sand lance, and juvenile salmon that concentrate in nearshore waters during spring and summer months. Arctic terns in southeast Alaska demonstrate remarkable timing precision, arriving at Tongass coastal waters within the same week each year, despite travelling from opposite ends of the Earth. Their internal clocks synchronise with local salmon runs, ensuring peak feeding opportunities coincide with their energy-intensive breeding season. Furthermore, these birds can recognise individual islands and return to exact nesting spots used in previous years. Mendenhall Lake did not exist until the Mendenhall Glacier began retreating in the 20th century, which makes it one of the youngest large freshwater lakes in the world. Scientists estimate it first appeared in the 1930s and has grown steadily as the glacier continues to shrink. Its water carries finely ground rock flour, created by the glacier's slow grinding against the bedrock. These particles are so tiny, they remain suspended indefinitely, scattering light in a way that gives the lake its unusual milky blue colour. Nugget Falls is a two-tiered waterfall that empties directly into Mendenhall Lake, creating a rare setting where a waterfall, a glacial lake, and an active glacier converge in one location. Its flow is divided into an upper vertical drop and a lower cascade that fans widely across the sandy shoreline before meeting the lake. In earlier centuries, Nugget Falls did not feed a lake at all. When Mendenhall Glacier reached much farther down valley, the waterfall plunged directly onto the ice. Only after the glacier began its retreat and meltwater filled the basin did Mendenhall Lake appear. By the mid-20th century, the lake had expanded enough to surround the base of Nugget Falls. This means the waterfall predates the lake, but is far younger than the surrounding mountains that were uplifted millions of years ago. Today the falls still shape the land and water. Meltwater brings minerals into Mendenhall Lake, then flows to the river and the sea, linking all parts together. Along these rivers, beavers build dams and lodges, turning streams into new habitats for many species. Their ponds create calm waters where fish and ducks can thrive, and the wetlands that form around them attract moose, otters, and countless birds. By slowing the current, beaver dams also trap sediments and filter the water, improving its quality before it reaches the sea. Beavers use alder, willow and birch, the main trees around Mendenhall Valley, for building. They gnaw through trees using teeth that never stop growing, kept sharp by constant chewing. A single family can cut down dozens of trees in a season, reshaping entire sections of forest. Their lodges are carefully designed with underwater entrances, food storage areas, and dry chambers inside. In winter, the walls freeze solid, making them nearly impossible for predators like wolves or bears to break into. In Misty Fjords National Monument Wilderness, beavers build dams that turn streams into calm ponds. These ponds mirror the cliffs and forests above and create wetlands that support salmon, ducks and moose. The landscape is made up of steep granite cliffs, long fjords carved by glaciers, and valleys filled with temperate rainforest. The sheer walls still show the marks of the ice that shaped them. The forests are dominated by western hemlock, Sitka spruce and cedar, while wetlands and alpine tundra appear at higher elevations. Heavy rainfall keeps the ground wet and supports mosses and lichens that cover rocks and trees. Among the most notable animals in these forests is the Sitka deer. They feed on lichens, berries, leaves and shrubs, but in winter they depend heavily on old-growth forests where snow is shallower and lichens hang from the trees. Without these forests, many do not survive harsh winters. Unlike many deer, Sitka deer are strong swimmers. They often cross between islands in search of food, sometimes swimming long distances through icy water. Belted kingfishers live along rivers, lakes and fjords where fish are plentiful. Their diet is mainly fish, but they also take crustaceans, insects and small amphibians. They hunt by hovering above the water and then diving head first, using a strong bill to seize prey. They are highly territorial, defending feeding areas with sharp, rattling calls. Females can be identified by an extra chestnut band across the chest, one of the few cases where females are more colourful than males. Common mergansers use serrated bills to grip fish and are able to dive long distances underwater in pursuit of prey. They choose clear rivers and lakes where visibility is high, and they often target salmon, fry and trout. Nests are placed in tree cavities, sometimes in holes made by woodpeckers, and if natural cavities are scarce, they will use nest boxes. Females lead their chicks to water within a day of hatching, and the ducklings leap from the nest to the ground, even from high trees, before swimming on their own. These birds are sensitive to pollution, which makes their presence a good indicator of water quality. They remain year-round in places with open water, but migrate when rivers and lakes freeze. Orcas are apex predators that travel through the coastal waters surrounding the Tongass. They live in highly social pods led by older females, and these pods can stay together for life. Their diet varies by group. Some specialise in salmon, while others hunt seals, sea lions, or even whales. Communication is central to their hunting, with each pod using a unique set of calls that functions like a dialect. They rely on echolocation to track prey in dark or murky waters, sending out clicks and listening for echoes that reveal the size and movement of fish. In salmon runs near Tongass rivers, orcas often time their movements to coincide with peak fish availability. They also pass hunting techniques from one generation to the next, making culture an important part of orca life. Also seen in further offshore areas around the islands are humpback whales. These whales migrate vast distances each year, spending summers feeding in northern waters and winters in tropical regions where they breed and give birth. Their diet is made up of small fish and krill, which they capture using cooperative feeding methods, such as bubble net feeding, where groups of whales circle schools of fish and release air to trap them before lunging upward with mouths open. Humpback whales are among the longest migrators of any mammal, with some travelling from northern feeding grounds to tropical breeding areas and back each year. They can go for months without eating during migration, living entirely off fat reserves built up in summer. Their flippers are the longest of any whale, nearly 1/3 of their body length, which helps them manoeuvre with unusual agility for such large animals. They are famous for breaching, leaping almost completely out of the water, an action thought to serve purposes ranging from communication to parasite removal. Cooperative feeding strategies like bubble net feeding are unique to certain groups and are learned behaviours passed down through generations. Each group has slightly different techniques, showing cultural variation within the species. Baranof Island bears the name of Alexander Andreevich Baranof, the iron-fisted first governor of Russian America, who ruled Alaska's fur trade with calculated brutality from 1799 to 1818. Baranof transformed this island into the epicenter of a ruthless colonial enterprise, establishing New Archangel, modern Sitka, as his headquarters, while systematically exploiting native Alaskans through the Yazak tribute system. He demanded furs in exchange for hostages, depleting sea otter populations to near extinction while accumulating vast wealth for the Russian-American company. During his reign, indigenous populations plummeted by 80% due to disease, slavery, and violent conflicts that raged continuously across the island's forests and shores. The Russian grip on power remained precarious, with administrators often facing starvation and depending on British and American merchants for basic survival supplies. In the thick layer of plants and fallen wood of this old forest, careful explorers can find banana slugs living in the constant dampness. These large slugs crawl across mossy logs and rotting leaves, eating fungi and plant bits, while helping return nutrients to the forest. While banana slugs appear harmless, consuming these creatures can prove deadly to humans due to their potential infection with Angiostrongylis cantonensis, the parasitic worm that causes rat lungworm disease. The tragic case of Sam Ballard, an Australian teenager who ate a slug on a dare in 2010, demonstrates the lethal consequences of such encounters. The 19-year-old fell into a coma lasting over a year, became permanently paralysed, and died 8 years later from the infection. Moving deeper through Baranof Island's moss-draped forests, visitors eventually encounter Silver Bay, a fjord that conceals one of Alaska's most toxic environmental disasters beneath its deceptively pristine waters. The bay earned its name from the Silver Bay mining claims that flourished during the 1870s gold rush, when prospectors like Nicholas Haley orchestrated elaborate investment scams that bilked investors out of thousands of dollars while producing virtually no gold. Contemporary Silver Bay remains contaminated with dioxin deposits from aerial emissions, ash handling, and ashcrete deposits that require special handling during any construction activities. The bay serves as a breeding ground for toxic algae blooms that produce paralytic shellfish poisoning, a potentially fatal condition that causes paralysis and respiratory failure in humans who consume infected shellfish. Despite its toxic legacy, Silver Bay conceals potential mineral wealth that continues attracting modern prospectors, with claim owners like John Burgess still removing abandoned mill equipment from Depression-era mining operations. The bay's steep-walled fjord structure creates unique geological conditions where precious metals may have concentrated in underwater deposits never fully explored by historical mining operations. Across the waters of Silver Bay, observant visitors might spot another resident, the tufted puffin, a charismatic seabird whose colonies once numbered in the tens of thousands, but now face catastrophic population crashes. These imposing birds, the largest of the puffin species, return to Baranof Island's rocky cliffs each breeding season, wearing their signature yellow tufts like crowns of doom, unaware that they represent one of the most endangered seabirds in the Pacific Northwest. Despite their declining numbers, tufted puffins remain among nature's most accomplished underwater predators, capable of diving 200 feet below the surface while carrying up to 20 fish crosswise in their specialised beaks. Their wings function as underwater propulsion systems, allowing them to fly through the water at speeds approaching 55 miles per hour during pursuit of prey. Where the tufted puffins struggle through their aerial battles above Silver Bay's waters, another marine predator dominates the rocky shorelines and kelp forests below, the Steller sea lion. These massive creatures, weighing up to 1,200 pounds for mature bulls, frequently haul out on the granite ledges surrounding Silver Bay, their thunderous roars echoing across the fjord as they establish territorial dominance. Alaska hosts approximately 70% of the world's Steller sea lion population, making Silver Bay's pristine waters a critical habitat for these apex predators. Adult male Steller sea lions transform Silver Bay into a battlefield during breeding season, establishing territories through violent confrontations that can last for 60 days without the males returning to water for food. Between the sea lion haul-outs dotting Silver Bay's rocky shores, another marine mammal spends its days floating on kelp-cushioned waters. The sea otter, a keystone species whose presence indicates the bay's recovering ecosystem health. These smallest marine mammals drift through the inlet's protected waters, using their air-trapped fur as insulation, while consuming 20% of their body weight daily in sea urchins, clams and crabs. Alaska's southeast stock includes approximately 25,712 individuals, representing one of marine conservation's greatest success stories following near extinction during the Russian fur trade era. Recent population crashes in the Aleutian Islands stem from transient killer whales that have switched to hunting sea otters after the collapse of their traditional pinniped prey. These apex predators can eliminate entire otter populations from local areas, with individual orcas capable of consuming thousands of otters annually. Sitka stands as North America's most haunted colonial capital, its 8,500 residents occupying the exact site where Russian forces massacred Tlingit defenders in 1804 and established New Archangel as the bloody headquarters of Russian America. This island settlement served as the administrative centre of Russian colonisation from 1808 to 1867, controlling a fur empire that stretched from California's Fort Ross to the Aleutian Islands through systematic enslavement of native populations. Alexander Baranof transformed the rebuilt fortress into the Paris of the Pacific, complete with museums, libraries and Orthodox cathedrals constructed upon the graves of the Tlingit warriors who died defending their ancestral homeland. On October 18, 1867, Castle Hill witnessed one of history's most emotionally charged territorial transfers when the Russian tricolour was lowered and the American flag raised, formally ending 68 years of Russian colonisation. Juneau emerged as Alaska's capital through the systematic destruction of the Ayakw-Kwan and Taku-Kwan Tlingit peoples who had occupied the Gastineau Channel for over 10,000 years. These indigenous nations developed advanced maritime technologies that were central to Pacific Northwest cultures, supporting trade and fishing. In 1880, Chief Cowie of the Arc-Kwan guided gold prospectors Joseph Juneau and Richard Harris to Silver Bow Basin, unknowingly sparking a gold rush that destroyed traditional villages and led to permanent Euro-American settlement. Tracy Arm Fjord cuts into Alaska's Coast Range, its granite walls hiding one of North America's most dangerous geological features. Named after Secretary of the Navy Benjamin Franklin Tracy, 1889 to 1893, the fjord was called a wild, unfinished Yosemite by John Muir in 1880, who foresaw the ongoing geological upheaval. Dawes Glacier stands as a tidewater giant at the terminus of Endicott Arm, a narrow fjord that carves through the coast mountains. This glacier originates from the massive Stikine icefield near the international boundary and flows northwest, terminating in a towering wall of ice that rises from the sea. The glacier bears the name of Henry Lawrence Dawes, a lawyer and statesman responsible for the infamous Dawes Act of 1887, which aimed to destroy native tribal governments and communal land ownership through forced assimilation. Dawes Glacier demonstrates the unstable nature of tidewater glaciers, which become trapped in cycles of rapid retreat once their terminus withdraws from protective underwater ridges into deep basins. The glacier has retreated several miles in recent decades, backing up to where it now merges with a smaller unnamed glacier flowing from the north. Because of global warming, the glacier's end has broken into smaller pieces, showing it is collapsing. This breakup is one of the clearest signs of fast retreat, and by summer 2021, satellite images showed it was close to fully splitting. The process began when side glaciers pulled away from the main ice stream, leaving separate ends that can't support the glacier's flow anymore. Harbour seals have transformed into glacial ice specialists, using the icebergs carved from tidewater glaciers as essential life support platforms for their most vulnerable moments. These marine mammals demonstrate extraordinary site fidelity to glacial fjords, with up to 78% of individuals returning to the exact same ice habitat year after year during critical pupping and molting seasons. More than 5,000 harbour seals congregate in Glacier Bay's icebergs, creating some of the largest seasonal aggregations in the Northern Hemisphere. Throughout its history, Taku Glacier has advanced periodically to completely block the Taku River, creating temporary lakes that eventually burst in catastrophic floods when the ice dam fails. The most recent advance that blocked the river occurred in 1750, demonstrating the glacier's cyclical pattern of damming and flooding that has shaped the landscape for centuries. Currently, the glacier terminus sits close to Taku Point, where another advance would again block the river and threaten downstream communities, with devastating outburst floods. Taku Inlet slices through the coast mountains as a forbidding fjord that extends northeast from Stevens Passage, creating a shallow water death trap suitable only for riverboats, while concealing one of North Hemisphere's most violent geological histories. This treacherous waterway bears the Tlingit name Taku Gulf, according to early records, while Russian cartographers called it Rukav Ledyanoi, meaning icy arm, recognizing the frozen terror that dominates its upper reaches. Ketchikan clings to the rocky shores of Revillagigedo Island as Southeast's most southern settlement, earning its designation as the first city through strategic positioning at the mouth of the Inside Passage. Commercial fishing operations transformed Ketchikan into the self-proclaimed salmon capital of the world through industrial-scale exploitation that decimated fish populations while enriching cannery owners. The first cannery opened in the 1880s, followed by dozens of processing facilities that converted millions of salmon into canned products for global markets. Tongass Island totem poles stand as monuments to both artistic mastery and cultural loss, their carved cedar faces recording the meeting of indigenous civilization and colonial power. In the 1800s, the Tanta Kwan Tlingit raised these sacred poles across their ancestral island until federal authorities forced them into government settlements. The abandoned poles weathered in the rainforest for decades before 33 surviving monuments were rescued in the 1970s. Each pole carried clan histories in the form of animal crests, wolf, whale, bear, and others, that marked family lineages and territorial rights, all within the dual structure of raven and eagle moieties that defined Tlingit society. Western red cedar stands as the tree of life for Pacific Northwest indigenous peoples, its aromatic heartwood containing powerful fungicidal and insecticidal extractives that create exceptional durability in marine climates. The straight-grained uniform texture makes carving precise details possible, while the wood remains soft enough for traditional adze work, though it splits easily along the grain during shaping operations. Old-growth trees reach extraordinary ages, exceeding 1,000 years, while achieving heights over 200 feet, creating the clear, knot-free timber essential for totem pole construction. Martens depend on cavities within large trees, snags and hollow logs for denning sites during their April birthing season, with mothers requiring secure locations to raise litters averaging 3 young. Winter survival hinges on access to protected resting sites in root cavities, underground chambers, and tree hollows that provide insulation from brutal weather conditions. Timber poachers search for trees that will bring the most money, looking for straight grain, few knots, the right shape, and easy access near roads. They inspect the wood carefully, sometimes even taking small samples, before deciding which trees to cut. The stolen trees are used for expensive products like guitar tops, fine furniture, or special building materials, which sell for much more than regular lumber. Black bears emerge as the forest's dominant omnivores, their populations thriving in the old-growth ecosystems where clear-cut logging operations cannot reach their preferred denning sites. These adaptable carnivores establish territories throughout the temperate rainforest, with over 10,000 individuals roaming the coastal watersheds and river systems that provide essential salmon runs during summer feeding seasons. Unlike their larger brown bear cousins, black bears prefer dense forest interiors where they forage for berries, grubs and vegetation, while avoiding confrontations with more aggressive species. The Tongass National Forest serves as the primary watershed for countless salmon spawning streams throughout southeast Alaska, with its old-growth forests providing the critical habitat structure that sustains healthy salmon populations. The Taku river system alone supports the largest Chinook salmon run in southeast Alaska and northern British Columbia, along with substantial sockeye and coho populations that have sustained Tlingit peoples since time immemorial. After spawning, most Pacific salmon die while Atlantic salmon can spawn multiple times. After the salmon dies, the cycle restarts with all the wildlife having an entire feast from the dead salmon on the shorelines. Pacific species face genetic programming that guarantees death following reproduction, their deteriorating bodies releasing marine-derived nutrients throughout their natal watersheds in a spectacular feast that sustains entire forest ecosystems. Unlike their Atlantic cousins who retain the ability to survive and return to the ocean for subsequent spawning cycles, Pacific salmon experience systematic organ failure and immune system collapse that transforms them into floating protein packages. This is the Tongass National Forest, a land of hidden wonders and remarkable architectural marvels. Now, if you don't want to miss the most unreal wonders of Atlantic forest, check out this video.